Hey, sister.
Hey, sister.
Join me, Courtney Lewis,
And me, Carly Ferguson,
in our conversational podcast about everyday situations.
You can count on us to tell it to you straight with our own sisterly spin.
Consider this a phone call with your own Southern sisters as we discuss with you personal accountability, healthy relationships, managing responsibilities, and contributing to society.
Each episode will consist of straight talk and a call to action.
Your sisters are calling.
Thanks for answering.
Welcome to Hey Sister. This is episode 12, Workin on My Fitness. You've probably heard of the freshman 15, right? That's a pretty standard phrase for newbies entering college. But have you heard about the COVID-19? The first time I heard that, I laughed pretty hard. But ironically, I felt it was so far from true at the beginning of the pandemic when it seemed to me that everyone and their dogs were out for neighborhood bike rides and mountain climbing. I felt like everyone I knew was using the pandemic as a time to exercise around the clock, at least at the beginning. Then after a few months, all the stores were out of eggs and chocolate chips, both things I wanted but couldn't get at one point because I was going through the baking craze just like everybody else. And I started to see where that COVID-19 phrase came from. It seems like fitness is funny like that, a very black and white approach to either flexing a six-pack or gaining the COVID-19.
Today we want to talk about this idea and the importance of increasing in stature or our physical fitness as Jesus did in Luke 2:52, where it says, "And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man." This marks the second episode in our 4-part feature on self-improvement in the areas of wisdom, stature, spirituality, and friendships.
We have with us today Sierra Doucette Ward. She is a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, group personal training specialist, and a nutrition coach. Sierra and her husband live in Idaho Falls, Idaho, where she works for Peak Level Physique. She is one of the most driven and organized women we know, and she is just an old soul. On a personal note, Sierra feels like a sister to us because she is best friends with our youngest sister, Cassidy, who y'all met on episode 6, Happy Pants. Sierra has a heart of gold and abs of steel. I mean, I haven't personally seen the abs of steel, but it's like faith. I just know that they're there. Sierra has a passion for helping people gain nutritional freedom and knowledge, which is perfect because we have a passion for connecting her with people like y'all who want to learn about fitness and nutritional knowledge. So Sierra, welcome to Hey Sister.
Hey guys, I'm super stoked to be on this podcast with you guys.
Yay, we're so excited you're here.
So Sierra, when did you first gain a value for fitness in your life? Was it something instilled in you from childhood or after leaving home?
It was definitely instilled with me when I went to college, out of all places, really. I went to Brigham Young University, Idaho, and just like any other college student, I changed my major so many times. And I just got to a point where I just had to stick with something and just graduate. My degree is actually an emphasis in event planning, but it has 2 other sectors, which are photography and then personal training. When I get asked what I graduated in, I just say event planning. Through the course of my bachelor's degree, I was given the list of classes that I need to take in order to gain my personal training cluster in my degree. One of the classes that were listed for the degree was an aerobic step class. And so I was just thinking it was another workout class. I was going to have a good workout during the day and then just go about my life. No. So on the first day, the professor announced that we were actually going to teach the aerobic step class throughout the semester. And 2 girls literally left the room. And I almost went out with them because I was like, this is way out of my comfort zone. This is not my thing. I don't even know if I want to stay with this. But, something told me that I need to get over myself and it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be a good experience. I decided to stay, and it was one of the best classes I've ever taken in college. Part of our final was that we had to take our class through a workout. So we had to do the warm up, the workout, and then the cool down. And I practiced that routine so much. I had all my music ready, the cues going. And so when I finally finished, the professor stopped me after class and she's like, "You nailed that. You did amazing. You have such a gift." And not to be overzealous, but I was like, I did nail that. And it felt
for you.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And then that passion just ignited. I figured out that it was just this career opportunity that I wanted to pursue. So it was a great introduction to a love and passion for physical health.
I really love that because I think so often we fall into a trap. As you mentioned, you also studied photography in college, and Carly and I knew that about you from the time we were all little kids, really. You were interested in photography from the time you were, 12 years old or so. And you were just always taking pictures, and you would take our family pictures. You were just a teenager who had a skill, and you were so driven and so great at starting your own business as a teenager, as a preteen, that you were able to go do these things. And so we watched you have that drive. And then it was interesting watching you go from photography to personal training and physical fitness. You're just as amazing at personal training and physical fitness as you are at photography. And it's no surprise because you are so driven. Of course you nailed it. But I love that you did learn something and you were willing to step outside your comfort zone and stay in that class because you tried something new. And I think so often we get in this mind track of, this matters to me because my parents taught it to me. So I love that you were able to say, this is something that I feel good about as an adult, and I'm ready to step off and get outside of my comfort zone and try something new. So way to go. That's really hard and obviously important to you.
Yeah, thanks. This is what all life is about, is to try something new. And it's very common for people to say, well, I hate working out. I don't enjoy the gym. That is totally okay. If you love to go to aerobics class or go play volleyball with your family, as long as you're getting that physical exercise in, it's what matters what you love to do to get that physical activity in.
Sierra, what obstacles have you overcome to pursue improvement in physical fitness or increasing in stature?
I would say being a newbie. When I first started, you're what we call a gym newbie. So you don't really know what you're doing in the gym. The weights are super intimidating and you're afraid to ask for help because you're worried that people are in the zone. They don't really want to give you the time of day, but it's honestly the complete opposite. If you go up to someone in the gym and you're like, hey, I don't really know how to work this machine, they will be all about showing you how to use it. And it's a great community to be a part of. Just overcoming that fear of trying something new and accepting the fact that, hey, I'm new at this, but as long as I'm learning, that helped me grow physically and mentally stronger. And it really helped me to overcome other obstacles in my life, like asking for help when I needed it. Just being humble and being like, okay, what I did wasn't right, but now that I know the correct course and the correct movement to move on, I can do this better.
Well, I think those are great things to keep in mind. For most of us, I think going into a gym where you feel like everybody else is so much better at using the equipment or they already know what's going on, it is hard to gain the confidence to even ask how to do it. And you don't really get that sense of joy maybe at the beginning because you're feeling really awkward or uncomfortable being in a new setting. I felt that way. And I like running. I like doing a lot of things that are cardio and stuff. But anytime that I would go in and see people using weights, or I couldn't even approach those areas where they're like grunting as they're picking stuff up. It's never been something I've been keen on doing. And then I see you on Instagram, just a hoss. Like, you're just awesome, like doing stuff.
She's pumping her iron. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's so inspiring. I would love to do that because it is good for us. I mean, I've always loved cardio, but it's also good to do some like strength training too and get variety. So that's really cool.
I like that Sierra too mentioned like finding what works for you. And I mean, obviously, like she stepped outside of her comfort zone, which is a great inspiration, but it's also okay if you're aware that you like playing volleyball with your family, or if you like going to the gym, or you like doing cardio stuff. It's good when you know what you like, but also being willing to step outside your comfort zone is important because that's an obstacle to overcome, is to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And you might love.
Yeah, exactly. You might find a new love.
Exactly. And Sierra is a prime example of that.
So how has pursuing fitness more and being more active helped you develop into the woman you want to be?
This is a really, really good question because I am definitely still striving to become the woman that I envision. But one of those values that I really have pursued is patience. Patience is such a virtue, and especially when it comes to those physical fitness goals that you're trying to achieve, it really takes a much longer time than what you realize to achieve it. And the biggest thing is being patient with yourself. A lot of my clients, they'll get really frustrated if they missed a day at the gym or if they deviated from the meal plan. And I have to remind them, in the grand scheme of things, that one little mishap will not affect your progress because you've been so consistent in all of these other areas. With patience, what I have to remind my clients is that really it's going to take you a whole year to actually get to the point where you want to be. So within the 4 to 10 months range of you working towards your goals, that's where you're going to see the physical changes, and the things that you've been doing to move into healthy habits are going to stay. But once we get to the 10 to 12 month range, that's where we can maintain those results that we've achieved. And those healthy habits are now just a lifelong lesson that we've been able to do. So patience is definitely something that we need to learn in this life. And it's an incredible Christ-like attribute, because if you think about the Savior, he was so patient, really probably a lot of times with himself, but also with other people. Just learning that is such a value in this life, really.
Totally. Sometimes we think fitness as just merely the physical, outward appearance, right? Oh, we're working on our fitness for sadly, sometimes you think it's a vain cause. I'm working on this so that I look better. And from what you've said, to become the woman you want to be, it's really that attribute as well that it's honed in on, that it's helped, and you grow so much more in patience. And that's not something I would have maybe thought of to connect as something to work on within fitness is patience, but that makes total sense because it's the long game.
Yeah. And something that was so profound that my professor, who was the professor in the aerobic step class, what she said was that health is a lifelong journey. And it was something so simple. I'm honestly pretty obvious, but it was so profound to me because at that time when I was a newbie, I just thought that if I achieve this one fitness goal, then I'm good. I'm done. I can finally just go back to the way that I have been. But no, throughout your entire life, you have to keep up with your physical activity. You have to eat right, because as you get older, you're going to start learning, oh, my balance isn't as good as it used to be, or my flexibility, mobility isn't where it needs to be. And it's so important to maintain that. When you become a grandparent, you can keep up with those little grandkids and watch them grow and be part of the family without having those limitations. So it's just so important to find that one thing that you really love to do as a physical activity to maintain that through the rest of your life.
I love that. And I think, Sarah, you actually just mentioned something that is important. Here we're talking about increasing in stature, and we've been talking about physical fitness, but I love that you just mentioned eating right. To you, what else would you say is encompassed in the whole increasing in stature? Is there anything else besides physical fitness and eating right?
Yeah. So as Carly mentioned earlier, when you start your fitness journey, it's almost like a vain thing because you're wanting a certain look to your body. And that's totally fine, because that's usually where we all start with. We want to look better. We want to feel more confident with ourselves. But as you go through this physical fitness journey, you're going to realize it's a grander, bigger journey of a lot of things that are encompassed with it. It starts with the physical fitness, get into the routine of the gym. And then it comes to eating right. Our diet is super important, especially in regards to what fitness goal we're working towards. And not only that, something that's often overlooked is our water intake and our sleeping, our quality of sleep. So water is super important. It helps our body to move better, to flow better. It helps us to digest our food better. And it just keeps us even looking younger, which we all love, and our skin glowing too. And then with that, it helps with our sleep quality. So sleeping allows us to reduce stress. And if our quality of sleep is getting messed up, it raises our cortisol levels. A lot of us have heard stress really affects the body, and it really does, because what it can do is affect our hormones. And so some of the hormones that it can disrupt are estrogen, testosterone, leptin, and ghrelin. If we get one night of bad sleep, it can increase cortisol levels. So cortisol increases the hormone ghrelin, which increases hunger, increases our cravings. And so those late night munchies that we have is all thanks to the hormone ghrelin, because we're stressed. And then we binge more, we have more cravings, and that can really disrupt our progress. If you're trying to lose weight and you're getting frustrated because you're like, I'm having all these cravings all the time. Well, look towards your sleep. How's your sleep doing? Are you getting at least 7 hours of sleep? That's really going to help you tremendously to drop the weight, because when those cortisol levels come up, our fat cells do not want to release. It's going to hang on to that. And
wow.
Yeah, the cortisol levels can actually attack our muscle mass. And so it can affect our metabolism as well. So good night's sleep, hitting that water intake, really focusing on whole foods. So like your protein, your veggies, and your fruits can really, really help you to nail and achieve those goals that you're working towards.
Wow. that like kind of blew my mind. I feel like that was such a golden nugget for everyone listening, and for everyone, maybe college students who are maybe not sleeping enough, but for moms that are not sleeping a lot and maybe just had a baby and are like, why isn't the weight coming off? Like that might be a huge like mind-blowing moment.
Oh yeah. Sleep is so underrated. And it's really hard for moms to get that full 7 hours of sleep, because your baby's crying. You got to make sure the baby's fed and well taken care of. Like if you need to sleep while the baby's sleeping, that's an option too. But I know it's a struggle with little kids trying to get that full 7 hours of sleep, but it's possible. I promise.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome.
I think what I learned from that is that water intake can help you sleep more. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So
does carbonated water count?
Legitimate question.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. I encourage my clients who struggle getting their water intake, if they like carbonated water or if they like water flavor additives in there, have a 16-ounce water bottle, but then have a bigger water bottle. And so for every sip of your flavored water you have, you take 5 sips of your bigger water bottle. That helps them get it. So Try that if you need some help getting that water intake in.
Do you have a special bag for your water bottles, like that you put them in? I'm just wondering, I need to equip myself with these water bottles that you have.
I can show you my cabinet. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Carly,
awesome.
I'm picturing Carly having like a bottle for her dragon water, a bottle for her carbonated water, and a bottle full of regular water, and then a Diet Coke.
Yeah, it would be a nice little lineup.
Hey, and me too. I'm right there with you, sister. I will say, I want to vouch for the fact that I have noticed when I am either pregnant or breastfeeding, I crave water like crazy. I just want water all the time. Whereas normally I definitely love me some Diet Coke, and I'm prone to drink that more. I still drink Diet Coke a little bit when I'm pregnant or nursing, but it's not something that I want really. And so I drink a lot more water, and my complexion is always so much better when I'm pregnant or nursing. And it's interesting because my body stores fat a little differently when I'm nursing, and I'm not dogging on my body there. It's just how my body works. It's easier for me to lose weight when I'm done nursing, but I always notice my complexion isn't as beautiful when I'm done nursing because I've stopped drinking water as much, and I'm not eating as much food either because I'm not nursing. I'm not as hungry all the time. Anyway, that's just one of those things where I love that I now know that's part of the reason. That's really cool. You said as part of all those areas that encompass increasing in stature, that it's like a grander plan. I love the fact that you said grander plan, because that definitely draws my thoughts to God. And so I've wondered, with this pursuit of physical fitness and education for the human body and nutrition, how has that pursuit increased your relationship with God?
So just to kind of tie into what I said earlier is the patience, because that's one of the most Christ-like attributes that you can attain. And you definitely have to work at it. I'm still working at it myself. So, like your body is a temple. And that's something I really love to think about, because whenever you see a temple, regardless of any religion, like those temples are beautiful. It's beautiful on the outside, but it's really gorgeous on the inside. And it takes a lot of maintenance and work to keep it that way. And so just like your body is your temple. And this is the only body you're going to get in this life. So you might as well make it count. And so we got to feed our body the right things, because our nutrition can affect us in so many different ways. It can affect us physically. It can affect our energy levels and our mood. And so something that I do with my clients is I give them a little bit of homework, and it's called Food with Feeling. So for 7 days, they have to track what they eat. And then after every single meal, they ask themselves 3 questions. How did I feel physically? How was my energy level? And how is my mood? Now, what's most profound is when at the end of the 7 days, we review what foods affected them positively and what foods affect them negatively. And one of my clients, this was really cool, she noticed that certain foods affected her negatively. Her mood, she became like irritable, her energy levels were down, so she felt lethargic and she just felt bloated. And that trickled down to her family because she was more irritable and lethargic, like her patience and her temper was a lot shorter. And she couldn't bring peace into her home. And so when she ate foods that helped her feel better and have a better mood, more energy, and she didn't feel bloated, it trickled down to her family and the environment was more peaceful. She could handle problems better. And so what we put into our body really affects how our relationships are and what kind of peace we're bringing into the home. And that in return, when we have more peace in the home, we're having a better relationship with God because we're able to connect with others and just create a good environment, essentially.
I really love that story because I feel like I haven't taken the time to evaluate my food and how it makes me feel. But what's interesting is as a mom, I can tell you what my kids have eaten. I'm very aware of their diet. I'm the one who's putting the food out. But for me, I feel like I'm so prone to snack and not pay attention to how my body is feeling because I'm more like, we got to get to the next thing, or, oh my goodness, these tiny humans need food constantly. But I'm aware of what they're eating because I'm the one preparing it. And it's just interesting because I'm like, oh, that takes some serious dedication to focus on what's going into your body. But like you said, your body is a temple, which I love that analogy too, because my husband and I are avid watchers of The Amazing Race. And one of the things that they always do is they'll go into temples all over the world, like various religions. And I love to see how these racers have to shut down and slow down, cover their heads, remove their shoes, whatever the different scenarios are for how to approach the temple and be more quiet. If we treated our bodies like that, where it's like, oh, I'm about to eat something, I'm about to go to sleep, you kind of take that moment to really ponder and prepare. I love to watch it when I'm watching a race show because it's so apparent, the stark difference between racing and then going into a temple. So anyway, I like that analogy a lot, and I'm glad you shared that.
It goes to the respect that we give to ourselves, to those moments, to those places. So when we're respecting our own bodies, we're really taking into account those things that are going into it more. And I think, as you said, Courtney, with our kids, we give them their food and are monitoring them so closely that it's almost as if it turns the focus away from ourselves and we miss some of those cues like you're talking about. Well, it sounds like as you helped this client of yours better her relationships with her kids and her family by watching what she ate and helping her develop in those areas, has working on your physical fitness helped you develop deeper relationships with those around you?
Oh, for sure. And really like 3 people who I've been able to deepen my relationship with is myself, my husband, and then a girl that I met in that aerobic step class. So really I have everything to thank for that class, but I'll start with myself first. Really, it's myself and my husband. So when we met, I had really low self-esteem and I was really anxious about social gatherings and events because I was worried about the food. And I was really tied up in diet culture and just following the wrong practices. Through my husband, I met his friend and his wife, and she introduced me to CrossFit. I don't do CrossFit, but really love doing it with her. And she introduced me to almost like the gateway of fitness. And she showed me how she tracked her calories and her macros. And it was really cool. And it actually gave me nutritional freedom as I went on about this journey. My husband was so supportive of letting me go to this career path of becoming a personal trainer and nutrition coach. And I realized as I was getting my certification in this, I had to do a lot of work on myself in order to help others. And so my husband's love and his patience and his almost silent support really helped me to work on myself and repair the relationship I had inside with myself. And then I was able to help others more with it. That girl that I met in my aerobic step class is actually the co-founder of Peak Level Physique. And she has really helped me grow as a coach and just the best gal ever because she is just so hands-on with her clients. It's her passion and driving force in life. She just took me under her wing. And honestly, she's a mentor to me and helped me to figure out how to best help my clients with their needs. And it's not all about the physical fitness and the nutrition, but it's like what we talked about. Stress, sleep, and water intake can really affect whether we make or break it with our fitness goals. It's been so good being able to work out constantly because when we work out, those endorphins are released and then we're really happy people. And then that happiness that we have just affects everyone around us. And we just are able to make better friendships and relationships with others.
We have to quote from Legally Blonde, her final testimony in the trial. She's saying her client is innocent because she went on a run that morning and happy people don't kill people. So it's true. Really, those endorphins kick in and happy people don't kill people. So that's even more reason for all of us to work on our fitness.
I love it. All right, Sierra, is there anything further on this topic that you would like to share with our sisters?
So those who are intimidated on going to the gym or just kind of getting into a more active lifestyle, just start super small and simple. If you think walking is something that you think you're going to enjoy doing, go for it. Just anything that's going to get you out of the house and just help you to release those endorphins and feel good. Just start small. You don't have to do anything big. Because I know with like New Year's resolutions, we want to become this new person instantly overnight. But if you think about it, it takes a whole year to become the person that you want to be and years to come. Just always start small and simple and set small daily goals every single day to help you reach your bigger goal. And one thing to focus on is the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule can be applied to two different things. 80-20 is 80% your diet and then 20% exercise. A lot of times we like to think that exercise is the 80%, but really it's the 20% because like I said before, nutrition just affects so much with our body and the results that we can get when we feed our bodies the right things, we can get better results along the way. And then the 80-20 rule also can be applied to nutrition. 80% whole foods and then 20% indulgent foods. So 80% whole foods, so like your proteins, veggies, fruits, those foods that make you feel really good. And then the 20% foods of the indulgent foods like cake, cookies, ice cream, those really good foods that we all love and enjoy. Just find that good balance in your life because it's not about perfection. It's just about consistency.
Wonderful. That doesn't sound hard. You hear 80-20 and you're like 20% of the time I can still be eating what I would dream about. I love that thought. Sierra, I also really love what you said that you work on with your clients. I think that we should use that as our call to action this week. So can you sum that up again and describe that for our sisters?
Yeah, of course. So call to action, what I encourage you to do is to evaluate how you feel after each meal for the next 7 days. Those 3 questions you want to answer are, how did I feel physically? How were my energy levels? And how was my mood? Do that for 7 days. And then at the end of the 7 days, just summarize the foods that made you feel positive, good, light, airy, more energetic, and the foods that affected you negatively, lethargic, irritable, bloated, crampy even. Try that for the next 7 days. Your relationship with food and yourself is really going to improve once you start realizing and paying attention to the foods that you eat.
Perfect. Sierra, we're so glad you were here with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We have loved having you. It's been such a joy. And I feel like I'm walking away from this with just a newfound excitement for getting out there and doing something fun and active.
And trying to get more sleep. I'm like,
and trying to get more sleep. Yes.
That's always important. But
I'm excited about that too.
Yeah. Sierra, can you tell everybody where they can find you and connect with you on social media?
Yes. My Instagram handle is Sierra_Mignon_, or you can find me at Peak Level Physique. And I'd love to connect with you. If you ever have any questions or need advice on anything, I am here for you. And thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast. You guys are just such a blast and the best people ever.
Right back at you. We love you. And We are grateful for your call to action idea. And remember, sisters, that's to focus on your food intake for the next 7 days and track how you feel after you eat your meals and how it affects you physically, how it affects your energy level and your mood. We'll look forward to hearing back from you. Follow us on our socials at Hey Sister Podcast. And look out for our roll call post this week where we'll ask how this is going for you. And we'll be excited to hear how it's going. Don't forget to join us for episode 13 next week, where we'll dive into the third topic in the scripture. We've gone through wisdom and stature. Now it's time to dive into increasing in favor with God. So that will be a great episode where we'll talk about how to increase your own spirituality. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lanolin. Okay. It's not lanolin. That's a breast.
Lanolin is
Yeah, so it's ghrelin, not leptin. Sorry.
Leptin. Yeah. Lanolin, I know. That's a nipple cream after you breastfeed.
I'm
sorry.
I know it. I was just going to be like slow shaking of the head, but
as soon as I said it, I was like, dang it.
if you said it via text, I would have had a great GIF for you in response. Yeah.